Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to Northtown News Magazine, and we're here today to snip away at eminent domain.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and you don't want me anywhere near your hair.
I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go?
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host, Avi Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at ntnm.org. Everything's on YouTube. Community policing, we're real big on that. And we'd like to wish a fond farewell to the commander of the 24th District, Thomas Waldera. Every time they do a good job here, they get kicked upstairs. I'm so tired of having to break in new commanders. And by the way, Sonny Hirsch in his spare time is the chairman of the District Advisory Committee of the 24th District and involved in all sorts of other escapades along those lines. And we'd like to welcome Robert Nieves, who our new commander. We haven't met him yet. And speaking of the police, and somebody who actually knows who these people are, is the former deputy chief of the city of Chicago, and not to mention the 24th district commander, all kinds of other good stuff. Bruce Rottner, how are you?
Avi, I'm great. Thanks for having me again.
First of all, thank you. It's a pleasure to see you. And first of all, what are you up to these days?
Trying to find a job, Avi.
Okay.
No, actually, retirement is terrific. I'm teaching 2 days a week at the city colleges. I teach police organization and management, and in the fall I'll be teaching new class police responsibility, police ethics, which is probably something quite timely right now. So I'm really excited about that, but I'm taking the summer off, and hopefully I'll hit a few little white balls and, kick back a little bit.
Yeah, I know you're very involved with the Shomrim Society.
Yes, I am. Yeah, the Shomrim Society, the law enforcement officers of the Jewish faith. I've been a member for over 40 years. I serve as first vice president. I was president 3 times. I lost 3 straws. So, but be that as it may, and we're really excited. We're having our Man of the Year reception on July 9th of this year. We're honoring Lonnie Nassiter, who is the Midwest director of the Anti-Defamation League of Chicago, the Chicagoland, is our Man of the Year, and our police officer of the year will be Jay Parrott. Jay is a Shomrim Society board member. He's also a deputy chief of police in the Evanston Police Department. And interestingly enough, he was one of our police explorers back in the early 80s here in the 24th District. Yes.
Good guy.
Grew up in West Rogers Park. Yeah. Terrific kid, really rising star in the Evanston Police Department. Worked all facets of it. Just a great police officer and a great kid.
As a matter of fact, Rabbi Klein, who is the one of the police chaplains in Evanston,
yes, Dov Klein,
raves about him all the time.
Yes, he's a good man. So that'll be July 9th, and if anybody would like any more information on this function, they can email us at info at Shomrim, Illinois, one word, Shomrim, SHOMRIM, Illinois.org, and we'll send them out information.
And this is a really terrific organization, and it's an organization I'm all in favor of people supporting.
Thank you.
No, you guys do a great job.
Thanks
There's no question about it. And you don't have to be a police officer to be a member either.
No, we have different levels of membership, for supporters. We have for people in the criminal justice system who are not sworn, such as judges and state's attorneys. Megan Goldish, who just became a judge, who is one of our longtime members.
Yeah, she's terrific.
She's great people. So, like I say, it's a great organization. We have a lot of fun, and it brings people of mutual religious and career together. That's what it was all about.
No, that's good, and I think it's very important, and it's definitely it's a very positive kind of networking.
Yes.
So we've had a whole big shakeup here. I mean, not that it's a violent shakeup, whatever. But, crime keeps going down and down and down, and they're kicking people upstairs.
Well, maybe the people that are responsible for bringing the crime down, which are all the officers out on the street, really, maybe they're sharing some of the ideas where places where crime isn't going down. Tom Waldera was just a tremendous leader up here. Tom and I have been friends a long time. We made lieutenant together, actually. So they moved him to narcotics. Tom has a background in organized crime. And they brought in Roberto Neves, who I never worked with on the police department, but I hear some tremendous things about him. I understand he's young, he's vibrant, full of ideas, he's well-liked by police officers, and that's really important because, as I said, we can change. And when I say we, command staff, we can move this, that, and the other. But it always comes down to the officer on the street doing the job. That's the people out there that are making the streets safer, that are reducing crime, that are talking to citizens. We couldn't do it without those officers. They're the ones who do everything. So realistically, if the officers, like their commander, if they relate to their commander, it's just a much better situation. And fortunately, up here in Rogers Park, we've always had that kind of relationship between the commander and the men and women working the squad cars.
So that's important. And we've also had, and this is in large part thanks to you, we've also had a terrific relationship between the community and the police officers.
Well, that was the key. And actually, this is something that I teach in the city colleges. Community policing was a strategy that really started in the 90s, kind of swept the nation. The realization that the police couldn't do their job alone, that we couldn't solve all the problems. We couldn't solve all the problems of crime. Obviously, certain things were out of our control, poverty, homelessness, so on and so forth. But we had never reached out to the community before, and someone all of a sudden woke up and said, well, why don't we? And if we remember our history, we remember it was Charles Ramsey, who is now the police chief in Philadelphia.
Love that guy. Right.
He was the architect, basically, of community policing here. Then as we moved into the 2000s, other priorities became, necessary. However, I look at 24 as West Rogers Park as the preeminent community policing district, and it was because of the strong foundation that was laid out by people like Tom Byrne, people like Dave Boggs, who followed him as commander. Primarily, though, the officers, who still to this day go to meetings, who aren't afraid to sit down with citizens and talk to them about issues, aren't afraid to prioritize problems, and do the things that we did 20 years ago. Some other districts aren't doing it as well as we did in 24. But I can only speak for this district, and I know that community policing is alive and well in the Rogers Park district.
Very much so. And one of the things that Commander Waldera has instituted, and I also want to give credit to Sergeant Sean Sisk.
Sure, great guy.
Great guy. And Bob Kane, if you're watching, they kicked him to news affairs downtown. Another good guy. And I hope he didn't stay up too late for the Hawks game last night.
Great game.
It is a good game. It's funny, he's the only person who, there's very few sergeants that really wanted to keep the meetings to 60 minutes. And he was one of them when the Hawks played. So that was a good thing. But not to mention Mike Stahula and Zelidith Moore and Sonny, the other name. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Everybody that I knew that worked in community policing or neighborhood relations, as we used to call it, were just good, dedicated, hardworking people. There used to at one time be a stigma about working in community policing. You're an empty holstered hero. You get the commander coffee, and that's Now you ask people to go in there. Oh, that's too much work. Yeah, you may wear civilian dress to work, and your hours may be a bit irregular, but, you're getting, anywhere from 50, 75, 100 phone calls a day in an office. People want problems solved. You're using the resources of the district to solve them. You're working weekends, you're working nights, and so on and so forth. So every officer that worked in there, from when I began in there to Mike Strahula and Z Moore and people like that who are there today, are just good, dedicated, hardworking people, like all police officers, they sacrifice a lot. They sacrifice time away from their families. They sacrifice, birthdays, weddings, other things, because they have to work. But that's what we do. So, like I say, all of them worked beat cars at one time. They're just working in a different area now. But every community policing officer I know, whether here or in other districts, are just all good, decent, hard-working people.
One of the things I learned from you, in part, and other commanders also, is a lot of people don't realize that most of these people really want to help people. It's a help people job.
Absolutely. You ask most police officers why they became the police. The normal answer always is, I want to help people, If you read research and studies and stuff like that, which I don't necessarily always believe, but since I got into this world of academia, I read a lot more of them. What the police officer is really saying is, I want to help myself. I want to feel good about myself, helping somebody. But be that as it may, there was a photo in the Sun-Times, I believe, but it was actually on Facebook first, that went viral. And it just shows 3 police officers playing baseball in a lot in Englewood with a bunch of kids. Now, it's my understanding these were 3 brand new police officers who are in what they call an impact zone in the Englewood district, saw these kids playing, and just started playing ball with them, One of the comments on Facebook is this how our tax money is being spent? And I generally never respond or put anything down. And I just wrote, this is a great way for our tax money to be spent. This is what it's all about, Just these 3 police officers who could have just walked by these kids playing ball, said, hey, let's play ball. Is that going to mean that these kids are going to grow up loving the police? I don't know. But you know what? Every time a police officer does something positive like that, it's got to help a little bit.
It does make a difference. And, it's funny, I was at the Howard L yesterday. I don't have a car, and I did a bunch of shopping. And, there were a couple of punk kids is a nice way to put it, and they weren't that old either. And it's the kind of behavior you don't see in too many places, thank God.
Sure.
But basically what these kids were doing is they took turns. It was about an 11-year-old and his 8-year-old brother standing in the doorway so the train's doors couldn't close.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, they were just being contrary, and the older one was instructing the little one, and I don't know what they thought they were accomplishing, and it wasn't like they were having fun doing it or having a smile on their face. And I was thinking, boy, first of all, there's a definite lack of parenting here somewhere. But, exposure to, like they're starting the 24th district right now, and if you live up in Rogers Park, West Rogers Park, and part of Edgewater, check it out. They just started a youth soccer league. I mean, they're doing more things. Sergeant Sisk was telling us that people are coming up to them and say, who are you guys? You started this league. He says, oh, we're the 24th District Chicago Police Department. Really? You're cops? But, it makes a positive impression on the kids. It really does. And it affects a lot of kids see that.
Absolutely.
The police, there was such an antagonism between citizens and police for a long time in Chicago. Not just the convention, but up through the 80s, before community policing started coming in, and all of a sudden everybody sees each other, and oh, you're not so bad, and they work together.
And that was the whole point of community policing, I've mentioned this before in your show, but it's worth mentioning again. I remember when they were rolling out community policing, and Charles Ramsey actually came to Warren Park and had a community meeting, and I was living in the district at the time. I was a sergeant. And he says, how many of you know the name of the beat officer patrolling around your home, protecting your home and your family? Now, I worked in the district, and I couldn't even raise my hand, right? And I remember he says, don't you think you should? And that one simple, eloquent statement, to me, kind of encompassed the meaning of community policing. Did it work the way it was supposed to? It depends on who you talk to. But the bottom line is the police finally sat down with community members. Community members got to know their police officers. They got to know about what we did, some of the challenges the police have, and that had to be positive. That had to be good. There's nothing bad you can say about that, Has it gone full circle yet? I don't know. We're constantly looking, when I say we, like I'm still on the police department, which I'm not, but I know the superintendent on down are constantly looking at strategies to get people and police talking. Why? Because the ends justify the means, If we can reduce crime, if we can get information, if we can counteract this culture of no snitching,
That's a big thing.
It's a huge thing. And if someone, if one of those kids playing ball with us police officers in 3 years from now says, I remember, I'm going to snitch because I saw this guy shoot this guy, I'm going to, that's a victory. So as long as people and police continue to talk, only good can come out of that.
I agree, and I think it's a very important thing. And speaking of the police talking to the community, we used to get tons and tons of policemen on the show. And of course, you were in part responsible, Dave Boggs, Tom Byrne. It was terrific. And all of a sudden, like the last few years, everybody's afraid to come on well, there was different strategies in City Hall that started with Daley that have continued. So for you officers or high-ranking policemen that are watching this, please contact us. ntnm.org, you can go through there, or check me out on Facebook, Avi Myers with the Y. And, we'd love to have a regular police presence on the show and let people know that these guys are not only human, they're here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, it used to always be the community policing sergeant that would come on the shows such as yours. But for a while then, we were having beat officers actually come in. I always really believed in letting the beat officers come in front and talking. One thing, when we did go to community policing strategy, I would sit in the back in the meetings, and you would see some of these beat officers who you would never think, never hear a word out of them, get up in front of, 40 or 50 people and start talking. And it was with a sense of pride because no one had ever really listened to them before about what they did or what their challenges were or anything like that. And these officers were actually getting up there and people were listening to them, and they liked that, Were there officers sitting there like this, Absolutely, no question about it. But we saw a lot more who were talking to people than not, Will it ever get back to that? I don't know. But it was a start here. And again, the foundation is so strong here that it works. So if there's a model for community policing anywhere, it's right here. And I know the superintendent and I know the mayor are serious about it because they made a deputy chief in charge of community policing, which we never had before. And that was just recently. It's 2015, So anyone who says, well, this is an old strategy, it's a 20th century strategy. No, wrong. We wouldn't have had a deputy chief put in charge of it to rejuvenate it if we thought it was an old strategy. It's not. It's an ongoing strategy.
I'd like to thank you very much, Deputy Chief Bruce Rottner. Good luck in your endeavors. Thank you so much for gracing us. Don't forget the Shomrim Society banquet, July 9th.
Thank you.